Hi and welcome to Kanika's Nursing Academy. I am Kanika and today we are going to discuss about the anatomy and physiology of cardiovascular system. So today's lecture will be completely dedicated to the summarization of the anatomy and physiology of the cardiovascular system. So first of all, about the heart. Heart is a hollow muscular structure. Hollow muscular structure means there is a flow of blood, there is a movement of blood within and outside of the heart, and the main function of the heart is to pump the blood to the body parts and the organs for meeting their demands for nutrients and the oxygen supply. So this is the structure of the heart. We'll see one by one about the first of all the structure of the heart, and then how the flow of blood through the heart goes, and what is the function actually performed by the heart. So here we can see there are chambers of the heart, the right atrium and left atrium, then the right ventricle and the left ventricle, the upper and the lower chambers, and we have the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary veins. So the function of each part will be discussed in this particular session. So just I was telling you about the heart, and what I told you already, that heart is a hollow muscular organ, and it is located in the center of the thoracic cavity. Center of thoracic cavity is the area that is between the lungs, and we call that area as the mediastinal area, and the heart is the organ which occupies the space between the lungs, and that space is known as mediastinum, and the approximate weight of heart is 300 grams. And if we just sometimes the question comes in the exams that what is the weight of heart in males or females, so I just want to clear here the point that the size of the heart is similar to our fist. The individual's fist, like this is my fist, so my heart size will be equivalent to my own fist, and similarly your heart size will be equivalent to your own fist, and the approximate weight here written is 300 grams. And if we just talk about the range, so the range is between 280 to 300 grams. Sometimes some books have written that the size of heart is larger in males than females, and the reason for the same is because of the large body size and the large hands that the males possess. This is the reason why the size of heart is larger in the males. So if the question comes about the range, so the range you need to remember it as 280 to 300 grams, and approximately if we just want to remember the single value, that is 300 grams. Okay. So next, this is what we have discussed right now, that heart is a hollow muscular organ which occupies a space between the lungs, and this space is known as mediastinal space or the mediastinum, the space between two lungs. Moving ahead, the position of the heart. Right now we have said that the heart is located in the mediastinum. So what is the exact position? So every body part, when we talk about the body parts have a upper part and a lower part. The upper part is known as the apex or the tip, and the lower part is known as base or the lower area. So as the name is suggesting that the apex has to be at the upper side and the base has to be at the lower side, but it is reverse in case of heart, and the apex is lying to the lower side, whereas the base occupies the space on the higher side in the mediastinal cavity. So the apex is about 9 cm to the left of midline at the level of 5th intercostal space, and the region is just below the nipple region, and it is slightly near the midline of the cavity, and whereas the base, it extends to the level of 2nd rib, and I can just show it briefly here. This is the body structure, and here is the midline, this is the clavicle bone, and 1 2 3 4 5. So this is the 5th intercostal space towards the 9 cm from the midline, and this is the mid clavicular area. This is the apex, and the base will be extending to the 2nd rib. So this is the exact position of the heart that is occupied by the heart in the mediastinal cavity, and the function of the heart is to pump the blood to the tissues so that the tissues are able to function by getting the oxygenated blood supply from the heart. Next, moving further, that let us go from outside to inside. If we are talking about the structure of the heart, so we will just see what is outside the heart, and then we will be slowly moving towards the inside of the heart. So heart is enclosed or encased in the sac like structure, so, and let us see how that sac looks, or what is that sac made up of. So the pericardium, 3 layers of tissues are there, and the first layer is pericardium, and pericardium is actually made up of 2 sacs, and 2 sacs means there are 2 parts, and out of those 2 parts, the outer part, it consists of fibrous tissue, and the inner part consists of the double layer of serous membrane. And double layer means there will be 2 layers, and inside these layers there will be the flow of serous fluid, which provides cushion to the moving heart so that damage can be prevented. So outer layer of the serous membrane, which is known as the parietal pericardium, it lines the fibrous sac, which was the outer layer of the heart, and the inner layer, which is visceral pericardium or the epicardium, which is continuous with the parietal pericardium, is adherent to the heart muscle. So most of the time the question comes that which is the outermost layer of the heart, so we usually call it as pericardium, but you need to understand this fact that pericardium actually is made up of 2 sacs. The outer sac is fibrous tissue, and the inner sac is a double layered membrane of serous fluid or the serous membrane, and the inner part of that serous membrane is actually the outermost layer of the heart, which is epicardium. Moving ahead, second layer or the middle layer of the heart is known as myocardium, and myocardium is composed of the specialized cardiac muscles which are found only in the heart, and there are total 3 types of muscles in the body, and if I can just write it here for you, one is skeletal muscle, another is smooth muscle, and the third one is this muscle, that is cardiac muscle, which lines the middle part of the heart, and it is known as myocardial or the myocardium, or the myocardial cells are present in the cardiac muscle. And this particular muscle consists of specialized cells, that are the myocardial cells, which are responsible for initiating the electrical impulse or initiating the cardiac conduction system, and they have the main role to play in the cardiac cycle. And there are 3 properties which we will be discussing while taking up the topic of ECG, that what are the 3 basic properties which are present in the myocardial cells or the cardiac muscles, by which they are responsible for causing the contraction and relaxation of the heart. So myocardium, it is thickest in the apex region. The lower region is the area where the myocardium is thick, because the reason because the lower part is the ventricular area, and the ventricles have the larger role to play in the cardiac conduction system, because they will be pumping out the blood from the heart, that is right side, or the right ventricle will be pumping the blood to the lungs for oxygenation, and same way left side will be pumping the blood out of the heart from the aorta through the various branches of aorta to the various body parts. And it is found to be thickest in the left ventricle. Sometimes this question also comes that the myocardial layer is thickest at which area of the heart, so the answer would be left ventricle. Then the innermost layer of the heart is known as endocardium, and it forms the lining of myocardium, this is the middle layer, and the valvular structures, that is the inside of the heart is lined by the endocardium. And what is this membrane made up of? It is a thin, smooth and glistening membrane which permits a smooth flow of blood inside the heart, and the flattened epithelial cells are the ones which make up this endocardium, and this endocardium is continuous with the endothelium, which actually lines the blood vessels. So if we can just go further with the image, and here we can explain the thing more clearly. What we have discussed till now in the layers of the heart is there is first layer is the pericardium, and the heart pericardium is made up of two sacs, and the outer part of this sac is made up of fibrous tissue, and the inner contains the double layer of serous membrane, and inside this double layer, this yellow part you can see, this is the pericardial fluid, and normally pericardial fluid is within the range of 5 to 15 ml, and this 5 to 15 ml is responsible for providing the cushion to the beating heart, so that no damage can be occurring to the heart while it's beating. And if the pericardial fluid becomes low than 5 ml or it goes beyond 15 ml, in both the cases there will be friction motion which will be causing damage to the heart. So outer part is parietal pericardium, and inner is visceral pericardium or the epicardium, and then comes the middle layer of the heart. You can see the specialized cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscle is making up this myocardium, and this myocardial layer is responsible for the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Then comes the innermost layer, that is the endocardium, which lines the inner structures of the heart, including the valvular structures and inside of the blood vessels as well. So this is about the outermost area of the heart, the layers of the heart. So whenever we discuss about the disorders, so the type of disorders related to the layers of the heart will be the inflammatory conditions of the heart, which includes pericarditis, myocarditis and endocarditis. Okay, moving ahead. Going further inside the heart, that was previously it was the outside of the heart. So let us go or move from out to the inside of the heart, and first thing is the heart chambers, which we need to know. And there are 4 chambers of the heart, and they constitute the right and left pumping system, and the heart is divided into 2 sides by a septum. This is a septum, and this is the right side, this is the left side, right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. So if we just divide this heart into 2 parts, that is right and left, so the function of the right side of the heart is to receive the deoxygenated blood from the body and pump that blood to the lungs for oxygenation, whereas the function of left side of the heart is to receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs and distribute that blood through the aorta to the all body areas. And the upper and lower chambers are divided by the valves, which are atrioventricular valves. Next, there are 2 different types of valves in the heart, and these are the AV valves and semi-lunar valves. The AV valves are the valves which are located between the atria and the ventricle, and the right atrioventricular valve has 3 cusp or flaps or the leaflets. If I just draw it here, these are the leaflet, this is a bicuspid or the mitral valve, and if there are 3 leaflets, it will become the tricuspid valve. So tricuspid valve is located between the right atrium and the right ventricle, whereas the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve is located between the left atrium and the left ventricle. And these valves are very sensitive to the changes in pressure within the chambers, and whenever the pressure rises, the valves will open, and when the pressure falls, the valve will be snapping shut. And if we just see, the valves between atria and ventricles open and close passively according to the changes in pressure. They open when the pressure of the atria is greater than that of the ventricles, and vice versa. That means they close when the ventricular pressure becomes more than the atrial pressure. So we can see in this image the valves. There is a tricuspid valve which is lying between the right atrium and the right ventricle. Then we have a mitral valve, or another name of mitral valve is bicuspid valve. बहुत बार ये question भी पूछा जाता है that what is the valve located between the left atrium and left ventricle, and what is the another name for mitral valve. So it is located between left atrium and left ventricle. And then we have the aortic valve, which is located between the left ventricle and the aorta. And we have a pulmonary valve, or the pulmonic valve, which is located between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. So if we just brief it out, that AV valves include tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve, whereas semi-lunar valves are divided into aortic valve and the pulmonic valve. So same way, if we discuss about the disease conditions related to the valves or the valvular disorders, we'll be having valve regurgitation, valve prolapse, or valvular stenosis. So these are the three important disease conditions which are related to the valves of the heart. So I hope अभी तक clear है ये सारी चीज़ें, because anatomy and physiology, once we are thorough with the background, that is a normal thing, only then the abnormal things will become more clear. Okay. Next, what happens about the when the heart contracts and the cardiac cycle occurs, and what happens to the valvular structures. So during the contraction of the ventricles, that is the ventricular systoles, during the contraction of the ventricle, that is ventricular systole, the pressure in the ventricles rises above than that in the atria, and the valves, they snap shut, preventing the backflow of the blood. So mitral regurgitation or aortic regurgitation, it happens when the valves are not able to close when they need to close. And then the valves, how they are prevented to get open? They are prevented from opening upwards into the atria by the supporting structures which are known as chordae tendineae and the papillary muscles. These are the structures which actually hold back the wall structures. They stretch in the wall structure, and whenever it is required for the to the walls for opening, they open up, and when there is no requirement, there is a need to close them, then these will be helping to close the walls. Moving ahead, okay, this we can just discuss in the later slide. So next important point comes that how does the blood flows through the heart, that is flow of blood through the heart. कहाँ से blood अंदर आता है heart के, and कहाँ से blood बाहर जाता है. This thing need to be understood very well in order to just see that where the abnormality will be coming when we are discussing about the disease condition. So what happens, I will just draw a flow chart or a series of changes which will be taking place. If I can just draw a heart here. So this is the right atrium, as we have earlier also mentioned. This is the left atrium, this is the right ventricle, and this is the left ventricle. So what happens? The right atrium, I should use the different colors to make it clear. The right atrial area receives the blood from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So superior vena cava takes the deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, head, chest and neck region, and it brings the blood to the right atrium. Same way, the inferior vena cava takes the blood from the lower part of the body, that is the lower extremities and the abdominal region, and it drains the blood into the right atrium. So this is the first step, that the right atrium gets the blood supply from the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. Then the volume of blood in the right atrium will increase, and the pressure will also increase, because the pressure of the blood is directly proportional to the volume of blood. जितना ज़्यादा volume होगा उतना ज़्यादा pressure होगा, तो the pressure will be increasing in the right atrium, and this is a moment when this valve between the right atrium and the right ventricle will open, and the valve is known as the tricuspid valve. So this valve will be opening and the blood will be quickly drained from the right atrium to the right ventricle. Now what happens? That the right ventricle, the volume of blood in the right ventricle increases, then the pressure of blood in the right ventricle increases, then the valve which is located between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery, and it is known as the pulmonic valve, it opens up and the blood is moved from the right ventricle through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery. Then this pulmonary artery divides into two branches. One is right pulmonary artery and another is left pulmonary artery, and this right pulmonary artery takes the blood to the right lung and the left pulmonary artery takes the blood to the left lung. So now again one important question which can come, or you should know, that we know that all the arteries in the body, they carry the oxygenated blood, whereas all the veins in the body, they carry the deoxygenated blood. But there is an exception in case of heart, that the pulmonary artery, it takes the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, whereas the pulmonary veins take the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. So this exception you should know, because again ये भी question पूछा जाता है कई बार competitive exams में. So lungs में जाके what will happen? There will be the oxygenation or the exchange of gases taking place when we inhale. We inhale oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. So that oxygen which we are inhaling gets mixed up with the blood which is brought from the heart to the lungs, and the blood after getting mixed up will be taken via the pulmonary veins. That there are two branches again pulmonary vein ki bhi. There is a right pulmonary vein and there is a left pulmonary vein. They will take the blood and drain this blood into the left atrium. Now the pressure, the volume and pressure in the of blood in the left atrium will increase, and then this mitral valve will be opening and the blood will be moving from atrium to ventricle, and then the volume and pressure of blood within the left ventricle increases, and through the aortic valve into the aorta and to the whole body the blood will be getting distributed. So this is a complete flow of blood through the heart. And यहाँ एक चीज़ बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान रखने वाली ये है that although we have discussed step by step that where the blood enters first, that is right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle, but always remember that the upper chambers, they contract and relax simultaneously. Similarly, the lower chambers, they relax and contract simultaneously. And there are heart sounds which are known as S1, S2 or lub and dub. Lub and dub. So lub sound is heard when the atrioventricular walls, they close, they snap shut. जो shut की आवाज़ आती है, that can be heard or auscultated, and it can be heard as S1 or the lub sound. Whereas when the semilunar walls, the aortic and the pulmonic walls, when they close, then S2 or the dub sound is heard. So these are the normal heart sounds. We also have the abnormal heart sounds by the name of S3 and S4, and S3 particularly occurs or particularly is heard when there is rapid filling of the ventricles, when there is a increased workload and the blood is by gush, it is flowing from the atrium to the ventricular region. Then the ventricular rapid filling of the ventricles will lead to the onset of S3 sound, whereas when there is delayed emptying or delayed filling of the ventricles, then the S4 sound will be heard. But both of these sounds are the abnormal sounds. We need to know about the lub and dub sounds. Then this already we have explained, or we have discussed rather, that after leaving the heart, the pulmonary artery divides into right and left pulmonary artery, which carry the venous blood from to the lungs, where the exchange of gases takes place. That means oxygen gets absorbed and carbon dioxide gets released or excreted. And the two pulmonary veins, that is right and left pulmonary vein, they take this oxygenated blood to the left atrium, and then from the left atrium the blood will be going to the left ventricle. This already we have seen. So this you can see the blue part shows that the deoxygenated blood is flowing from the atrium to the ventricle and going to the lungs, and then from the lungs the oxygenated blood is coming in the form of this red portion and going to the left ventricle, then through the aorta it is getting distributed to the body. So this is the complete flow of blood through the heart. Then we are talking about the heart. That means the function of the heart is to pump the blood to the body. Every body part needs blood, and that to the oxygenated blood to function. Similarly, heart also needs the blood supply to function, because if we are saying that the heart is to pump, so for pumping also it needs some blood supply, that too with oxygen, so that it is able to function. So from where does actually the heart receives the blood supply? So there are branches of aorta, and one of those branch is coronary artery. So coronary artery further divides into right and the left pulmonary artery. Primarily the right side of the coronary artery supplies the posterior and inferior part of the heart, and the left coronary artery and its branches like the LAD and the circumflex, they supply blood to the anterior and the superior part or the lateral part of the heart. And the venous drainage, the venous blood, it gets collected into small veins which actually join to form the coronary sinus, and the coronary sinus opens up into the right atrium. The same cycle or the same flow of circulation will be following up, that the blood will be, and the deoxygenated blood will be received by the right atrium, goes to the right ventricle, then comes to the left atrium, goes to the left ventricle, and through the aorta to the body. So this cycle repeats on. So these are the branches. If we can just see here, we have the left main coronary artery, we have the circumflex artery which supplies the lateral part of the heart, and then we have the left anterior descending artery. Anterior descending means the heart's front portion will be supplied by this artery. Then we have the right coronary artery, and the branch of right coronary artery includes posterior descending artery, and as the name suggests, posterior means नीचे वाला and पीछे वाला area will be supplied by this posterior descending artery. So till now we have seen about the flow of blood through the heart. So the cardiac conduction system is closely related to this flow of blood through the heart, and the specialized heart cells of cardiac conduction, they generate and coordinate the transmission of electrical impulses to the myocardial cells. So this I was just talking about the three properties of the cardiac muscles, which we can easily remember by the mnemonic A, E, C, where A stands for automaticity, E stands for excitability, and C stands for conductivity. Automaticity is a word which has been derived from the automatic word, and it means by self. Ability to generate the electrical impulse by own self is known as automaticity. And if we are saying that all the cardiac muscles, they possess this property of automaticity, that means they all have the ability to self generate the electrical impulses. But the programming of the heart is done in such a manner that the sinoatrial node, which is known as the natural pacemaker of the heart, is first of all going to initiate the electrical impulse, and then it will be proceeding further to the various areas of the heart. And second property, E, or excitability, that is ability of cell to respond to an electrical impulse, and from sinoatrial node it will be going to the AV node, then to the further areas, which is known as excitability. That means in response to the electrical impulse coming to the area or the muscle or to the cell should also contract, that particular cell which is receiving the electrical signal. Conductivity, that is the ability to transmit the electrical impulse from one area to another area. We can just see this here. Yes. So this is the heart, structure of the heart, and the chambers of the heart, and sinoatrial node, which is known as the natural pacemaker. Why it is known as the natural pacemaker? Because it has the fastest rate of automaticity. We were just discussing that all the cells which are lining the heart, the middle layer, they all have the ability to generate the electrical impulse, but because sinoatrial node has the fastest rate of automaticity, it is known as the natural pacemaker. So SA node will be carrying out the initial impulse automaticity. Then this impulse will be going to the AV node, which is located at the junction of right atrium and the right ventricle, or the junction of atrium and the ventricle, and this AV node will be responding to the electrical impulse given by the SA node by contracting. And the moment SA node is starting the impulse, these upper chambers, the right and the left atrium will start to contract. Both the upper chambers will contract. Then the AV node will be sending this impulse further to the septal region that contains the bundle of His, which gets divided into right bundle branch and left bundle branch, and ultimately going to the terminal end. These ends are known as the Purkinje fibers, which are located at the lower part, that is the ventricular region, and the moment the impulse reaches the Purkinje fibers, there will be ventricular contraction. So if we just see here, the contraction or the initial SA node impulse initiation will cause the atria to contract, and this is known as atrial contraction, which is manifested on the ECG by the P wave. Okay, P wave on the ECG is showing that atrial contraction is taking place. Same way, the Purkinje fibers, when they are getting excited or from the electrical impulse which has reached to them, then the ventricular contraction will take place, and the ventricular contraction on the ECG is manifested by the QRS complex, and the time between atrial and ventricular contraction is known as PR interval. Okay, so these are the few basic things which we will just see here, but in detail we will just discuss all these things again when while doing the ECG. So this is the cardiac conduction system and cardiac cycle. So we know this already we have discussed. So SA node, which is located at the junction of superior vena cava and the right atrium, and the impulse is initiated by the SA node initially, and they are conducted along the myocardial cells of the atria, which causes the contraction of the atria. Then impulses move further, goes to the AV node, and the AV node has a small delay, so that complete emptying of the atria and the complete filling of the ventricles may take place. Only then they release the impulses from that area and send downwards to the bundle of His. Then the impulse further goes through the bundle of His, which are present in the septum, which divides into right and left bundle branches, and terminal end of bundle of His is known as Purkinje fibers. And here, when the impulse reaches the Purkinje fibers, then the contraction of the ventricles occur. So cardiac cycle, same, the cardiac conduction system is related to the cardiac cycle. So as we have discussed all the changes, how and when they occur, when contraction occurs, the pressure inside the ventricles increase, which enables the AV walls to close rapidly, and this rapid rise of pressure inside the right and left ventricle, because the pressure increases in the lower chambers, then the semilunar walls, which are pulmonic and the aortic walls, they open, and the blood will move from the ventricles to the pulmonary artery and aorta respectively. This we can see again the flow of blood and the cardiac cycle. During diastole, what happens? The ventricles, when they are in relaxed position or the motion, the AV walls are both open, so blood which returns from the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava to the right side, and from the lungs to the left side, both chambers will drain the blood from the atria to the ventricles, and which raises the pressure inside the atria, thereby ejecting the blood from the atria to the ventricles. Okay, so if we just move back and we say that this all events they take place in cardiac cycle and cardiac conduction system it is known. So the cardiac cycle duration is 0.8 seconds, and from those 0.8 seconds, for 0.1 second there will be atrial contraction, 0.3 seconds there will be ventricular contraction, whereas 0.4 seconds will be a complete diastole phase, complete relaxation phase of the heart. So 0.1 second atrial contraction and 0.3 second ventricular contraction, whereas 0.4 seconds is the diastole. And the cardiac output is the amount of blood that is ejected from the heart, and stroke volume, it is the amount of blood which is ejected per heartbeat. So if we just know the relation between cardiac output and stroke volume, it says that how we take out the cardiac output. Every time we say when the heart's workload is increased, the cardiac output decreases. So कैसे निकालना है वो? It is calculated by multiplying the stroke volume into heart rate. So with this we can calculate the cardiac output. So this is in brief about the blood vessels, that what kind of blood vessel, because we are discussing about the cardiovascular system, the heart and the blood vessels. So there are arteries and arterioles. The arteries take the blood away from the heart, and the veins, they take the blood towards the heart. There are 3 layers of tissues of the blood vessels, which are adventitia, media and intima. Tunica adventitia, tunica media and tunica intima. Then we can just we can see the branches of coronary artery. Already we have discussed about this. Then about the veins, we have discussed about arteries and arterioles. The veins, these are the blood vessels that return the blood to the heart, and they are thin because of the less muscle and elastic tissue in the tunica media. So veins are the thin walled structures than the arteries, and the smallest veins are known as the venules. Then the capillaries, the smallest arterioles, they break up into a number of minute blood vessels which are known as capillaries. The tip of our body, the peripheral region, they contain the capillaries, and the capillaries, they serve as the exchange section between the arteries and the veins as well. Sinusoids are wider than the capillaries, and they have a thin wall that separate the blood from the neighboring cells. So this is complete description about the anatomy and physiology of heart. We'll proceed in the next class with the various and the commonly used diagnostic test for diagnosing the conditions related to heart. And this is all about this session or this lecture. Next we'll just go to the next topic. Thank you.